Hello, I'm Mary Thront, and I teach Spanish at the University of Minnesota Morris. I also teach, uh, I also work in this Chinese program as the program director of the Fargo Chinese Teacher StarTalk program. I'm happy to be here to speak to you about the language teaching technology tool, Wordwall.net. I'd like to dedicate this presentation to my good friend and colleague, Gay Rawson, who teaches French at Concordia College in Minnesota and is also the instructional lead of our Chinese teacher program for StarTalk in Fargo. And she is my guru with technology. She is the ACTFL Cengage Learning and International Association for Language Learning Technology award winner for 2020. So I only learn from the best. She is the person who turned me on to wordwall.net. I think that wordwall.net, which is offered in a free or paid version, I have only used the paid version, really very effectively addresses the StarTalk principles, primarily facilitating a learner-centered classroom and adapting and using age-appropriate authentic materials. You will see these are interactive activities and games that kids just love. And happily, I was able to find all of the StarTalk languages on worldwall.net. I found examples of Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, Korean, Persian, Russian, Turkish, and Urdu in the appropriate characters and alphabets for those languages. So wordwall.net is used to make custom activities for your classroom, such as quizzes, matches, word games, maze chases, whack-a-mole, and other games. And also there is a plethora of activities at your disposal to search and use. These activities are both interactive and printable. I use them only as interactive, and they can be played on any web-enabled device like the computer, tablet, phone, or interactive whiteboard. I find it's ideal for online teaching, both synchronously and asynchronously, yet many of the activities can be printed up and used either in conjunction with the online version or on their own. As I said, I have been searching really through the community activities, and that's where I found that there are activities in all of the languages of StarTalk, and my hunch is that many of our colleagues in StarTalk have been using this tool for some time. You will see the plethora of activities here, some that are ideal to go off and practice, others that really are appropriate for the classroom. For example, random wheel. I could start classes with a random wheel, and there you have activities that students are waiting to be called on to answer. Today, we are going to really look at label diagram, which I think is ideal for reviewing culture, two matching games, random wheel, maze chase, and other games, airplane, game show, balloon bop, and whack-a-mole. And we see a matching game right here with the food items and their terms. I have probably mentioned that it is free or in a paid version, and I've only used the free version. Here we have a label diagram. In French is a nod to gay, and you can choose different backgrounds. I chose the jungle for this. And here students simply take the term and bring it down to the correct item to see that they can match up in interpretive reading. This is one that I just created to make sure I could create activities for the presentation. And it's a cultural presentation of a typical Costa Rican breakfast. And an activity I found for label diagram in Arabic was a geography activity to take the name of the country and to attach it to where that country appears on the map. I especially like this for culture because it's in Urdu, but the students are matching clothing items and the color of that item to each item they see. And you see we have a sari and typical clothing worn by those who speak Urdu, often in Pakistan. For the matching, they come in different varieties. You saw earlier we had a matching of photos. Here's a matching activity where the words will come across from left to right, and the students will click on the appropriate translation. Here's the random wheel, which I use with students. You spin the wheel, so there's an element of excitement and suspense. And then when it lands, you ask different students to identify. In this case, it would be letters of the Russian alphabet. Here's another matching where you have different photos. This is in Turkish, and they are matching what they can do in these different photos with the writing on the left. This creates a lot of excitement for students of all ages. The maze chase, this red robot in the middle is you, and using arrows and arrow keys, you have to bring the robot around and through the maze to the correct word. I don't know if this one or this one is lettuce, and you see there are phantom ghosts trying to block you along the way. This airplane game, you have to use your mouse, and you take the airplane to the appropriate cloud to pop that cloud and describe what you see down here, in this case, brother. And very miraculously and handily, this actually shows you how once you create one, like if you create the quiz, different activities are automatically generated from your input. So here we have mama, and we have the character, and we can click on for this game show. The game show has all the bells and whistles. The sound effects are really quite dramatic. This is a unique game, a balloon pop. You have balloons floating above this train. And this is an example in Hindi. Whatever is described on the train car, you have to pop all the balloons that go by that are appropriate, and the answer drops in. And an American favorite, whack-a-mole. Where this is a Russian example. All of the appropriate examples have to be whacked, and then you get different points that bring you up to the next level. I created my own activities before I created this presentation, so I could see just how easy it was. It was very easy. I created an activity in context of reflexive verbs in Spanish. It was just a quiz, and then the label diagram of the Costa Rican breakfast. And then for upper levels, I created a random wheel with different terms about Spanish poetry. So the first thing you do when you get to wordwall.net is to either search the community for your activities or go through these different activities to decide which you want to create. I found creating a quiz, a random wheel, and label diagram was extremely easy. This is what went into creating a quiz. You have a title of the activity, and then just like in Kahoot and other tools, you write a question and different answers, and you choose the answer that is correct. You keep adding questions until you hit done. And for example, when I created the quiz for the reflexive verbs, it automatically generated a game show quiz, an open the box, this maze chase, and a random wheel. And you can see I showed an example of maze chase before with only 2 answers. I prefer to make them a little more complex. To create the label diagram, you write as many labels as you're going to use. I did this in English so you could see eggs, rice and beans, orange juice. And then on the upper left hand, you have dots. And for as many of the labels you created, you'll have as many dots, and you just drag them over to the item. And you see I left these here to show you you would drag over rice and beans to rice and beans, and number 1 to eggs. So how do I use Wordwall.net? I, in fact, use it both synchronously and asynchronously, primarily to test vocabulary and have students test the vocabulary they know. And I do this by either starting in class with a random wheel and having students identify whatever the wheel stops at. Excuse me. I either give them a brain break, as you will see, and have them go off and play one of the games of something we have been studying, or I put the link in the chat room and have them go off after they leave class to play these games on their own. And it's really a dynamic way for them to review their vocabulary and verb forms with these interactive games. And like I've shown with the labeled diagram, it's a good way to test their cultural knowledge, be it of food, clothing, geography, different scenes you can use. So I have used wordwall.net and StarTalk as my sources. Please note my email again, mary.thrond@gmail.com, and you can refer to me with your questions and comments. Thank you very much.